Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about the gender gap index. And in the recent, that is 2018 gender gap index, India has got a rank of 108. So we will analyze this in detail in this lecture. But before moving on to the details of it, let us first understand what is the current affair regarding the gender gap index. So we have seen that the recent 2018 gender gap index was published recently and it was published by World Economic Forum, and in that index India has been ranked 108. So in 2017 gender gap index also the rank of India was 108. So we will see that India has not made any improvement in the gender gap index. Now let us go to the details of it. First of all, let us have a brief idea about what is World Economic Forum. The gender gap index is published by the World Economic Forum or the WEF. It is based in Geneva, Switzerland. That is, headquarters is based in Geneva, Switzerland, and it is a not-for-profit organization. It is an independent international organization, and this organization is committed to improving the state of the world. That means the WEF or the World Economic Forum takes measures or conducts various programs in order to improve the condition of the world. Now, regarding the WEF or the World Economic Forum, Davos meeting is very important. So, what is this Davos meeting? It is the annual meeting at the end of January, which is conducted on an annual basis or yearly basis. That means the World Economic Forum conducts an annual meeting at the end of January, and this is conducted in Davos, and that is why it is called Davos meeting. So from the point of view of World Economic Forum, Davos meeting is very significant, and also it conducts around 6 to 8 regional meetings every year. So this is in brief about World Economic Forum. Now coming to Global Gender Gap Report. What is this Global Gender Gap Report? The Global Gender Gap Report, as we have discussed, is published by World Economic Forum. It was first published in the year 2006, and the purpose of this index or report is to measure the gender equality. So the index is designed to measure gender equality in various countries, and it benchmarks 149 countries on their progress towards gender parity, and this is measured through broadly 4 parameters. So 4 parameters are used by the World Economic Forum in order to compare 149 countries on their improvement on gender parity or gender equality. Now coming to the 4 pillars, what are these 4 key parameters on which the World Economic Forum conducts this survey or the report is based? There are mainly 4 pillars. The first one is economic opportunity. That means the equality in economic opportunity provided to male and female. So this is what is measured under economic opportunity. Second one is the political empowerment. Third is the educational attainment, and the fourth is health and survival. So these are the 4 key pillars or broad categories or parameters under which the World Economic Forum ranks 149 countries for the gender equality improvement they have made. So this is very important. Have an understanding what are the 4 key pillars. One is economic related, second is political, third is educational, and fourth is health. So these are the 4 important parameters used by the World Economic Forum, and it sees whether there is any improvement made by any country in this 4 parameters. Now coming to India, we have seen that India has been ranked 108 in the gender gap index of 2018, and this 108 is same as in 2017. In 2017 also India was ranked at 108. So we will see what are the improvements required for our country India according to the World Economic Forum's gender gap report. The first one is women's participation. This women's participation is in terms of economic participation and opportunity. We have seen there are 4 key pillars. The first one is economic opportunity. So India needs an improvement in women's participation, especially in economic participation and also economic opportunity. So here India needs to get more women into senior and professional roles. That means our country has to give more focus on the career of women in the country. So women's economic participation and also the economic opportunities provided for the women in the country should be improved. Second one is health and survival. That is a fourth key pillar, and here also India needs an improvement. India is now the third lowest in the world in this parameter, that is health and survival. So we are the third lowest. The first and second lowest are China and Armenia. Here we are talking about gender equality in health and survival. It is not about whether the country is able to provide health facilities. It is about equality in health and survival for both the genders. And another area where India needs an improvement is artificial intelligence. India is the second largest artificial intelligence workforce. But the problem is that there are the largest artificial intelligence gender gaps. So in artificial intelligence, the gender gap is the highest in case of India. Only 22% of the roles are filled by women. So in these three areas, India needs improvement. And coming to the positive side, what were the positive remarks about India? The first one was wage equality for similar work indicators. India was ranked at 72. Even though it is not a very good ranking, we have made a significant improvement in wage equality. So we are talking about the improvements. Now the second positive side is that in case of tertiary education, that is higher education, India has closed the enrollment gap. So the enrollment gap in tertiary education has been closed by India. Now coming to primary and secondary education, India has actually closed the enrollment gap for primary and secondary education for the third consecutive year. That means from 2016 onwards, India has closed the gap for enrollment in primary and secondary education. So these are the areas where India has made an improvement in the gender gap report of World Economic Forum. Now let us understand the global picture. At the global level, the world has closed 68% of its gender gap. And according to the World Economic Forum estimates, if the current rate of improvement continues, that is now the global level 68% of the gender gap has been closed. And if this pace of improvement continues at the current rate of change, according to World Economic Forum, 108 more years would be needed to close the overall gender gap. That means again 108 years is what is needed to close the gender gap at the global level. And coming to the parity in workplace, if this current rate of improvement continues, 202 years would be required to close the gap in parity in workplace, or to bring in parity in workplace, or to nullify the differences. Now coming to the South Asian region. So now let us see the South Asian region. The second lowest ranking region in the index is South Asia. And in case of South Asia, 65% of the gender gap is closed. And taking the South Asian average and comparing it with India, we will see that India is slightly ahead of the regional average. India has closed 66% gender gap. So the average in South Asian region is 65, whereas India has closed 66, which is a bit slightly over the South Asian average. So this is with regard to South Asia. Now let us see who are the toppers in this list. The first place goes to Iceland. Iceland has closed 85.8% of the gap. And in case of Iceland, this is the 10th consecutive year that Iceland is topping the list of the Global Gender Gap Report of World Economic Forum. So Iceland has topped the list. Second position is held by Norway. It has closed 83.5% of the gender gap. Third position is for Sweden, which has closed 82.2%. And fourth is Finland with 82.1%. So these are the toppers in the list of World Economic Forum's gender gap report. Now let us understand what is the World Economic Forum's conclusion note or the summary note. So World Economic Forum has suggested that proactive measures are required, and these proactive measures should support gender parity and social inclusion. So if countries at the national level undertake proactive measures to support gender parity, that is gender equality, and for improving social inclusion, the gap in the gender equality can be closed, that is gender gap can be closed. And it also suggests that countries should address historical imbalances, and addressing this historical imbalances is important for the health of the global economy as well as for the betterment of the society as a whole. So this is the concluding remark given by the World Economic Forum. You can find the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page, and for any queries regarding your UPSC preparations, you can get in touch with me on my Facebook page, or you can email me at joyce.studyiq@gmail.com. Thank you. I wish you all a very good day.